Hello. Today, I said I was going to do this for a while. It's actually a topic that just about everyone you might meet gets wrong. They don't understand or misunderstand what they read. Everyone thinks Isaiah 14:12 or is it Isaiah 12:14, whatever, is about an entity that they believe known as Lucifer being kicked out of heaven. That's that couldn't be further from the truth. Isaiah 12:14 is speaking to I believe it's the king of Babylon, and he's calling him a rising star, which which in the Latin actually means Lucifer, which means light bearer, because in ancient times they didn't differentiate between celestial stars and planets. They called them all stars. Thus, Lucifer, the planet Venus, it's 7:40 in the morning. I just woke up. But anyway, the planet Venus was known as the morning star because in the dawn of the morning, when the only thing that reflected light outside of maybe the moon or something, but really the only thing that reflected light from the light of the sun was the planet Venus. And so a lot of sailors navigated, and they knew that the sun was about to rise when they saw the planet Venus light up in the sky. That was a way of saying that you're a very big man, you're a very important person. It was like a nickname. Like today here in America, we would call who was Heath Ledger before he died a rising star, or call any Hollywood person that's maybe not known yet, but is a very good actor and is making a name for themselves, a rising star. That's all it is. It's just like a nickname. It means light bearer or illuminated one. It came to mean that. And Jesus many times said, "I am the light, and the light is the light." And as a matter of fact, in Revelations, I believe he calls himself somewhere around Revelations. I don't memorize scriptures purposely. My mother once told me that any old, snake in the grass can memorize scripture, and quote scripture to you and give you verse and all this. But that was just a way of saying that, like I said, a person, they were saying this king was all haughty and hopped up, and well, he was a prince. Maybe it was the king of Babylon's son or something, or I think it was I think it was Nebuchadnezzar himself. But anyway, I believe one of the Hebrew words associated with that would be Hillel, shining one, which means, big man. Everybody's looking at you, you got the juice, So, I don't know where this idea of Satan getting kicked out of heaven and all this came from that. I just don't know. But it doesn't mean that. And everybody running around thinking that, talking about Jay-Z's song, Lucifer, and this and that. That's Jay-Z just being controversial to make money, I believe, because that, like I said, and even if he thinks he's worshiping something, he's not. The actual devil, or what you call Satan, is really an imp for God. He's really like God's special forces leader, or God's, I hate to say it sounds cliche because a lot of people say it, this prosecuting attorney. When a prophet thinks he's ready, or when God believes a prophet is ready, or whatever, a prophet of that particular religious thought with Judaism, Hebrewism, Christianity, along those lines, Islam, along those lines, then a devil or Satan, again, I don't know how much this is a personal name, but it means an adversary. You know, God was an adversarial spirit to test you. It was an adversarial spirit to test a person. Somewhere in Jeremiah, there's see, I can't remember a lot of this stuff, but you can check up on it yourself. Somewhere in Jeremiah, I think it is, there is a someone, I forgot who it is, okay? Someone vying for a top spot in the priesthood or what have you. You know, and on one side of the show, this is where the angels on my shoulders, you know, they have a devil on one side and an angel on the other side. This is where it came from. Well, there's an angel on one side of the man's shoulders, and then there's Satan on the other side, and they're both like presenting the case for this. One is pro for this man to become a leading elder amongst the priests of Israel or Jerusalem, what have you, Israel. And then there's the devil on the other hand, contending against the man's appointment as a head priest or what have you. And they always say the Lord rebuked Satan, but the angel who appeared, I believe, was representing God. And I don't see where God was there. Now the God, Yahweh, as one of his names, or one of the names they call him, I don't believe he was there. I believe it was one of his angels. And they said the angel of the Lord contended with Satan, I believe, and he said somehow, I guess a call came down from on high, but it was like a prosecution. The Lord rebuked Satan. That meant that, like, you know, judges say, like like a prosecuting attorney will say something, and then the defending attorney will say, I object to that, Your Honor, and then, the prosecuting attorney will try to have that objection overruled, and the judge would rebuke him or say, objection stands, and then turn and talk to the prosecutor and tell him why he, did, and that he's out of line or what have you, Really, Satan was not even an angel, because in the Bible, several places, it says the sons of God, who I assume in this respect, in this specific verses in the Bible, were angels. And Satan came with them. That's in Job. And Satan came with them. And that's a way of saying that Satan was not an angel. He was Lord of the angels. Satan, you don't want to deal with Satan. I don't want to deal with Satan. I'm not a Satanist or anything like that. And who would want to be? Satan is really, to the angels and God, Satan is really a minor spirit. In the Old Testament, there was no such thing as Satan leading one class of angels and God leading another, or Yahweh leading another class. There was no such thing. It was just Yahweh, or Elohim, or El, whatever. And Satan was a part of his retinue of servants, or, I look at like Yahweh is the president or the king, and Satan is the head of his irregular forces. In apocryphal literature, Satan, in the apocryphal Christian literature, it states that Satan is not mad at God, Satan is mad at man, because as in other cultures, when the prophet or the person of God goes out into the wilderness, he has to go out into the wilderness, he has to be attacked by this big evil spirit or what have you, or this big testing spirit. And if he can overcome, then he controls or demands control over the spirit and the host, over the head evil spirit or whatever, and a host of evil spirits. Like a Satan is the adversary, and all his spirits be known as Satan's. And even one time in the Bible, and somewhere in Job, the word jinn is mentioned. And the jinn spirits, were ensnaring spirits. And that's an apocryphal, a Christian apocryphal. And even Muhammad, peace and blessings be on him, even though I'm not a Muslim, I say this out of respect. Even Abdul Muhammad was very aware of a lot of apocryphal Christian literature, as he would have had to been to, I believe, stating the Quran correctly, that the jinn hate man because they're man's servant. That means, in other words, the jinn have to do things on the earth level. They're not like sons of God in a sense. They're, angels are made of light, jinn are made of fire. And this is so even in the Christian Apocrypha. I don't know if it goes that far to say that, but there's a difference. And I think if you really want to find out what this whole Satan man thing is, it's best to delve into the Quran on that, because the Bible doesn't, that's not part of the Bible. I don't know if it was a part of the working canon thousands of years ago, or 1,000 years ago, or what have you, and they took it out. But I know that is part of Christian Apocrypha, and we know that Jesus and his apostles dealt heavily with Hebrew or Jewish Apocrypha, like the Book of Enoch and such, because it's quoted in various places, or paraphrased in Jude and other places in the Bible. So they were heavily into that mystical religious type of thing, So once you can overcome the temptations, the jinns attack you, the evil spirits attack you, and if you overcome them, then you, in essence, while of course you're not an angel, you're a human, but there are very different designations of Son of God, and you become one. So then, like in type of Golden Dawn or Crawley, Aleister Crowley type magic, there are certain rites and certain rituals where you can stand in the light of the Godhead and the ruling spirits of your realm, the ruling angels of earth realm, archangels, what have you. High magic is called, and you can command the jinn spirits in the name of God, not just in the name of God, but you take on the whole mantle of the Godhead and that hierarchy. And then in that hierarchy, you command the spirits or daemons, which doesn't have to mean what they're saying. Daemon was just a way of saying spirit. Spirit that's not an angel back then. Like a spirit that's between a man and an angel, that's a daemon. A daimon, or however they say it. It's Greek. So all I'm saying is, people, you gotta really study. You can't just read the Bible and think you know what you're talking about, because we're 2,000 years removed from that, and the culture, the language, the people, everything, the history, it's entirely different than what we know of in our time. Time and space separates us. That's 2,000 years of time and space. Just imagine that. What I mean by time and space is, was 2,000 years ago, this picture, the space that inhabits between one